Andy Stevenson at Team KF, ahead of Cage Warriors 153, alongside the cat Taka Mhandu. You're back.
Yeah,
you're back. Big fight against Benoit Blanc in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm absolutely buzzing to be back. You know, I'm buzzing to be back doing what I love, and just to be feeling as good as I am in the minute is an absolute kind of like, it's a testament to just the tough year that I've had to get here, and just the fact that I've just been able to knuckle down and kind of persist with it and get to where I am now. So I'm looking forward to kind of get a good run out of it now at the end of the month.
Yeah, we last spoke up in Belfast after Cage Conflict. You had a great performance that night, and you were talking UFC next year, this year, 2023 activity. And then we haven't seen you. What's been going on? Where have you been?
So I had a couple of injuries and a couple of personal things that kind of got in the way of fighting there last year, but everything's been kind of cleared up. You know what I mean? And then just the stuff on my end of it has been kind of just been dealt with. So now I'm looking forward to kind of putting the plans I had set out last year for this year. So it's one of them things where, like, because I usually write down like my goals for the year or whatnot, and because I couldn't get the stuff that I wanted to get out of it last year, it's still all written right on the top of my journal, the exact same things I wanted from last year just for this year. Just had to push it back another 12 months, but we'll get there now. So I'm here now. You know what I mean? Like, it's coached 3 weeks to the fight, and everything's been going perfectly. So it's just a matter of just keeping exactly the way it's been going the last couple of months, and getting a good run out this year. Yeah,
you did a brilliant interview with the Irish Mirror. I was reading it the other day, and you were talking in it about, you know, how like the way you were talking about, like, you want a UFC next year, and kind of immediately kind of coming onto the Cage Wars or onto the scene, kind of hitting the ground running, and then almost being like, oh shit, this is right in front of me. Did it come at you kind of too quick? Was it the mental side maybe that you needed to kind of get right?
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's definitely one of the main things. It was 80% the mental things that I needed to get right, and I think it was like, for me, I think it was like, because everything was happening so quickly. Like, I only started the sport like 5 years ago, and then in the space of like 3 years, I'd gone from amateur to pro. I had loads of fights, loads of exposure, and everything was kind of just pulling up in me. And in my head, I thought I was handling it okay. So, but like, obviously my body and the way I was reacting to stuff wasn't the way that it wasn't an indication that I was handling it the right way, because I was kind of running away from the problems rather than facing it or talking to Chris about it and whatnot. So like, when I had a sit down chat with him, and kind of put everything on the table, and just the way that I'm looking at this training different, the way I'm looking at myself as an athlete rather than just a fighter. Because before I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just a fighter, this and that and the other. Now I'm an athlete, and I'm doing everything the right way, and it's not as big of a shock to me, the position that I put myself in. Do you know what I mean? I worked to get here, and I put myself in this position, but I almost didn't understand how quickly or how much traction it was gaining, but until I kind of sat down and realized, like, oh shit, I'm here. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing interviews with the paper, doing interviews with you, signed the Cage Wars. The Cage Wars was one of the first promotions that I knew about in Ireland. Like, I remember watching Nicholas Delby's question mark kick knockout. I think that was 2014 or something like that. I think that was probably just after Conor got signed, and obviously I would have known Chris and stuff like that. So just fast forward 10 years later, and I'm exactly where I wanted to be 10 years ago. So, like, I can't complain, and I'm just happy that I have the mental side of it properly adjusted to the way that I needed it going forward.
Yeah, how did you overcome that?
To be honest with you, it was a lot of trials and tribulations, and kind of like a lot of like things not going my way, and just for me realizing, like, and me actually sitting down with myself and being like, do you know what it was? I lost the drive that I had for the sport, and I needed to find a new motivator. Because before, it was like I was doing it just like I was doing it probably because of my dad, and as time went on, it became less about that and kind of became more about just like, I did not like, you just kind of just be like, I was just doing it. Do you know what I mean? And then, but now I'm kind of like my intrinsic motivator is the fact that, like, I know how good I am at this, and I'm not going to let it slip through my fingers, and I want to get to the top because I know I can. That's my intrinsic motivator now. Just knowing that I just want to get the best out of myself because I know I can do it. And it's like, just the only limitations I put on myself, the only limitations I have are the ones I put on myself. So I'm not going to limit myself anymore, and I'm just going to reach the sky and see where it takes me then.
Yeah, I mean, that's very powerful. Like, you're talking there about, like, maybe wanting to do it for your dad. Like, it was kind of almost like to kind of prove something, or to, like, in memory of him.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, like, I was trying to prove, because I remember, like, when he was alive, he was like, oh, you're not going to be doing that, and you're not going to be doing that, and this and the other, because I was getting in trouble in school and that back in the day. So, like, he thought I wouldn't be getting up too much, like, but it's obviously because that was the reality that I was given him, but the action goes down. So as time went on, I was like, I want to prove him that I can be something, that will be something, and then eventually you kind of drifted away from that, and I had nothing to prove to him anymore because I'd proved it all. So like now I was kind of, I had to figure out like what is my actual reasoning for doing it. What's my reason for waking up in the morning, training 12 times a week? Like, what is my reason? Instead of just dragging myself out of bed, and now I'm like, I'm looking forward to going doing the rounds. I'm looking forward to being in the gym with the lads. I'm looking forward just to being in the atmosphere and learning and just being here, literally just being in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that dedication and taking it seriously and treating it as your job essentially now. Was chatting to Chris upstairs. I got a front row seat to some sparring there. We didn't record.
Nah, none of that.
But you're looking great. I was saying to Leon, the 2 year like on a race to 0% body fat.
Hold on, I'm gonna get the abs out here just to show everybody. Yeah, but we're coming in like we've been working with Adam Moore from the ISI. So me and Leon and Adam and Ryan have their own guy, but me and Leon have been working with Adam Moore specifically for this one, and we've been doing a lot of stuff for him since like last year. But my game in terms of like my athletic performance, me as an athlete has gone up like 100-fold, 100%. Like I'm stronger, I'm leaner, I'm more muscular, but in like I'm not overly heavy, but I'm like there's more muscle sitting on me, and my fitness is through the roof. So like I'm looking forward to eat. Like if this fight is a 3-round fight, like I'm ready for that. I'm ready for a high pace. Like I know I'll break him if it ends up going into that level, but I don't even want to. I want him to run at my pace. You know what I mean? Like I don't really like running, so like I'm more of a jogger, so he's going to be jogging at my pace.
Yeah. What type of fight are you expecting from Benoit Blanc? Obviously he's fought now on Cage Warriors before. What do you see when you look at him as an opponent?
I expect him to come out like he's a bit mad. You know what I mean? Like he's a bit all over the place in terms of like his style. Like, but it works for him obviously because he's quite a good guy. He's quite experienced and he has a couple of wins under his belt. But I expect him to kind of come in there, look to take me down and whatnot. I don't think he'd want to stand up on the feet for too long. But I think when he tries to go for a takedown and he feels how strong I am, he's going to be in for a big shock. He's going to be like, Jesus Christ, like this fella's not a bantamweight. Do you know what I mean? Like even me standing next to you now, I'm fucking massive. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I'm at least 6 foot as well.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So like this fella's coming up from flyweight, and like I'm not looking past him. I'm not overlooking him, whatever. I know he's going to be a good opponent, and I know he's going to be game, and he's going to want to come out there, take my head off, because I'm the hometown fighter. But like he can come swing at me as much as he wants. I'm just going to be just out of the range and landing my shots exactly where I want to land them.
You were talking about the kind of the strength and conditioning you were doing there. Your last fight, I think I described it as a dismantling performance, where you kind of tactically break down your opponents. Are you looking to kind of add a little bit more power or a little bit more? Is that like to enhance your game? That naturally like I have a lot of power in my hands naturally. So it's just mainly so the strength and conditioning is more like just getting physically stronger for the grappling exchanges. But when you come to the striking, like my power is all right there. And I'm mainly looking just to kind of like just like not to muscle things out, but to have the strength to keep up with the top guys in the UFC. Because when you look at all them guys, they're built like warehouses. Like, you know what I mean? They're absolutely jacked. So I want by the time I get to UFC, I'm in good enough shape to keep up with them guys. So like I'm laying the brickwork now. I'm laying the foundation for when I do get over to the UFC, and like it's not going to be a big shock to me where like I go in and like say I'm fighting Mirov Devilish or something like that, and if he grabs a hold of me, I'm not saying oh shit. I'm like I've been praying for this guy for the last 4 years. So when I do get there, it's not going to be a big shock to me. And you're thinking about those guys already?
Yeah. I'm like they're in my crosshairs. You know what I mean? Like I'm not looking at them. I'm not looking from the outside anymore, being like oh yeah, I'd like to be in the UFC. I'm going to be in the UFC. So now I'm looking at them guys as a future opponents rather than me looking up to them. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of upset that Aldo retired because I wouldn't mind finding Aldo because I'd have been cool. But hopefully get him if he's still boxing in the future or something like that. Don't know.
You've an old head on young shoulders, Taka. I thought it was very inspiring to see yourself and Chris and Cahill at the anti. I was about to say the anti-immigration, the pro-immigration, march, doing kind of stewards as a club. Yeah. Was that important to you to get out there? Yeah, of course. Like, because one of the things that like me and Chris always talk about politics and stuff like that, and like I'm very politically minded, but like I kind of try to keep that away from fighting and whatnot. But so it's just something that I have like a passion about because obviously me being like me emigrating to Ireland and stuff like that, and if people are like protesting for me not to come into the country, then I would never be in the position that I'm in now. So when I look back on it now, it's
it's part of my job to help other people and stand for the people that obviously people don't want them here for selfish reasons, saying that they're taking the houses or they're not this, that and the other, they're going to lose the Irish culture. It's like there's not just like there is such things as Irish culture, but there's also such things as adding other things into your culture and kind of like progressing in the future in the right way. But at the same time, like I was saying in the newspaper, like it's only like 100 years ago since Ireland became an independent country. It's only like 100 years ago since like the segregation things were lifted in America. Like it's not that far back that all them things were happening. So like I can't expect people in 100 years to completely change their way of thinking. Like there's obviously still going to be some people that hold old beliefs and that will try to pass them on to their children. But the more people kind of look at themselves and kind of question whether they're a good person and are doing good things for other people, then that's the only thing that kind of matters. And that's why me, Chris, and Colin went there. Like, do you know what I mean? So Chris was like to me, like he knows I'm kind of about that, and he was just like, yeah, come on, we go do this, and it turned out perfectly. And I was happy that I was there to show my face and show a bit of support. Yeah,
I mean, I think martial arts, from what I've seen in gyms, is a pretty good example of like the diversity, the positive impacts of diversity on a country. And you're going to be fighting in front of your hometown crowd, as you mentioned. Dublin for the first time as a pro. You fought in Belfast, obviously. But
I fought in Belfast and stuff. Yeah, I've actually never fought. I fought in Dublin once for a kickboxing fight, but that was a long time ago. So this one now be like being a homecoming fight, especially my first fight in Cage Warriors. So much hype around it, and after like not being able to fight for a long time, so it's gonna be a special one. It means a lot to me, and so that's why I've been putting in serious amount of hours in the gym and just making sure that every box is ticked off and every T's crossed off.
Expecting a big crowd.
Expecting a big crowd, yeah. So it's one of them things like everyone's like, oh, you're not nervous for the big crowd, blah blah blah. I'm kind of just like I was put on this earth to do this. So I mean, like I'm just not point to me being nervous if you know that this is what you're meant to do. It's like why would you be nervous about going out and doing it?
Yeah. And lastly, quick prediction.
I'm gonna finish him. I'm gonna finish him with an uppercut. She's gonna drop in for a takedown.
Calling the shot, uppercut.
Yeah, no, the uppercut. Yeah, it's gonna be an uppercut. So he's like, if he's watched the video, then he's watched the video. But like, I'm telling him exactly what shot I'm gonna be looking for. So yeah, there you go.
Fair enough. Well, that's you've set out your stall. I'm really looking forward to seeing you back in there. I said last question. I always do this. It's never the last question.
Good. Yeah, it's all good.
Activity. Yeah. Are you looking to be active now?
Yeah, I'm looking to be active now. So like, I was actually hoping to get a fight. So me and Chris were trying to organise a fight for RUR just at the one in February there, just kind of get one, just get a fight out and just make sure that like I get used to come away and walking out and stuff like that. But that was Chris' idea. Like he wanted me to go out there and like just so it wouldn't be like a big shock to me. But I'm like to him, like I know this is my thing. So like I'm not afraid to go out and do my thing. Obviously when I walk out there, like I'm not saying I'm not afraid. Everyone's afraid when I walk out, but it's a matter of managing those nerves and knowing why you do it. And now that I've finally figured out why I do it, like the nerves are a lot more manageable than they used to be.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm really looking forward to seeing you back in there. But that was the last question.
Yeah.
Taking on Benoit Blanc in the bantamweight division in Cage Warriors 153, Saturday 29th of April, live on UFC Fight Pass. And if you haven't got your tickets yet, you can get them on Ticketmaster.ie. Taka Mhandu, the cat, is back, and I can't wait.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time, Andy. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much, man.